Tokyo was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. A chance for my wife, Natalie, and me to reconnect. We'd been married for 7 years, and while life had settled into a comfortable routine, something had felt different in the past few months. She had been distant, more absorbed in her phone, more protective of it too. But I ignored the small things. I trusted her. The city was mesmerizing. Neon lights, crowded streets, the scent of street food mixing with the crisp night air. We explored temples, dined at sushi bars, and even took a river cruise. Everything seemed normal, or at least, that's what I wanted to believe. But when we came home, something had changed. Natalie wasn't herself. She set a password on her phone, something she had never done before. She started locking doors when she took calls, whispering into the receiver like a teenager sneaking around her parents. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. I gave her space, hoping it was just jet lag or post-travel blues. Then, one night, I came home from work, expecting the usual, her curled up on the couch, scrolling through Netflix, or maybe reading one of her crime novels. Instead, the house was silent. My stomach twisted before I even saw the note on the kitchen table. A single piece of paper. A few short, cruel sentences. So far, loser. I never liked you. I was with you only because I didn't want to work and needed your money. In Tokyo, I found the guy of my dreams and flew away to him. I wanted you to rot here, alone. Ciao, bastard. The words didn't sink in at first. I read them over and over, my mind refusing to process what I was seeing. My hands shook as I flipped the paper, hoping, praying, it was some kind of sick joke. But there was nothing else. No explanation. No remorse. I rushed to the bedroom. Her clothes were gone. The closet was half empty, her jewelry box missing, her suitcase nowhere in sight. My heart pounded in my chest as I grabbed my phone, dialing her number. Straight to voicemail. I checked her location, disabled. Social media, deleted. My wife had vanished. And she had planned it perfectly. I wasn't thinking clearly when I grabbed my keys and bolted out of the house. I drove straight to the airport, desperate to find some trace of her before she left the country. I didn't have a plan, just a gnawing, burning fury inside me that wouldn't let me sit still. But when I got there, I was already too late. Her flight had taken off an hour ago. I stood at the terminal, watching as the departure board flickered, Tokyo blinking out of sight. The realization hit me like a train. She was gone. She had used me, drained me dry, and then discarded me like I was nothing. I clenched my fists. If she thought she could just erase me from her life without consequence, she was wrong. I wasn't going to move on. I was going to make her life a living nightmare. I barely remember driving home that night. My mind was a whirlwind of questions, rage, and disbelief. How long had she planned this? Had she been seeing him before Tokyo? And who was he? I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the note again. The words blurred as my anger built. I never liked you. Was that true? Had the last 7 years been a complete lie? The late-night talks, the inside jokes, the vacations, the way she used to hold my hand absent-mindedly in the car, was all of it fake? I needed answers. I grabbed my laptop and started digging. First, I checked our bank accounts. I expected to see withdrawals, maybe signs of her planning this. But what I found was worse. She had drained over $25,000 from our savings in the last 2 months. I gritted my teeth. That money was supposed to be for our future. She hadn't just abandoned me, she had robbed me on the way out. Next, I checked her emails. I knew her password, or at least I thought I did. Locked out. She must have changed it recently. I slammed my fist on the table. Then I had a thought. I opened our shared cloud storage. She didn't use it often, but occasionally she backed up photos there. If she had been careless, maybe she had left something behind. My pulse quickened as I scrolled. Hundreds of old pictures, vacations, birthdays, random moments of our life together. But then, mixed in, I found something else. Pictures from Tokyo. Most of them were the ones I had taken. But there were a few I didn't recognize. Selfies of her alone in places we never went. Hotel bars, rooftop restaurants, even a dimly lit alleyway with neon lights in the background. Then I found it. A photo taken on the last night of our trip. She was in a hotel room, dressed in a silk robe I'd never seen before. And she wasn't alone. A man sat beside her. His face was partially out of frame, but I could see his arm draped over her legs. His wristwatch glinted in the dim light. A luxury brand, something expensive. My stomach twisted. I clicked to the next photo. And the next. And then I found the one that made my blood run cold. It was a video. With shaking hands, I pressed play. At first, it was just muffled voices. Then, I heard her laugh. Light, playful, the way she used to laugh with me. Then a man's voice, deep and confident, "He has no idea, does he?" Her reply was instant. Not a clue. The screen blurred as she leaned in, pressing her lips to his. The video ended. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. She had been cheating the whole time. And she had recorded it. My hands tightened into fists. She thought she could just disappear, leave me broken and humiliated. She thought I would just accept it. No. I was done being the fool. If she thought she had escaped, she was dead wrong. Because now, I had a plan. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that video. I heard her laugh, the way she dismissed me like I was nothing. Not a clue. I had trusted her completely, and she had played me for a fool. But I wasn't going to sit here and drown in self-pity. No, I was going to do something. First, I needed to find out who he was. The video didn't show his full face, but it gave me clues. The watch. The expensive suit jacket hanging on the back of the hotel chair. And one more thing, the neon lights reflected in the window behind them. I rewound the video, pausing on the frame where the lights were clearest. I recognized the logo immediately. A rooftop bar in Tokyo, the Scarlet Lounge. I opened my laptop and searched for photos of the place. Then, I cross-referenced it with recent social media check-ins. It took a while, but I found something. A man had tagged himself at the Scarlet Lounge the same night the video was taken. His profile was full of expensive watches, luxury cars, and pictures with different women. And then, there it was. A selfie. And sitting right next to him. Natalie. My chest tightened. I clicked on his profile. His name was Damien Laurent. French. Wealthy. Owner of several high-end clubs and restaurants in Tokyo. I scrolled through his posts, and the more I saw, the angrier I got. He was the type who flaunted everything: money, women, power. His captions were dripping with arrogance. The world belongs to those who take it. I clenched my jaw. Was that what she thought? That she could just take a new life and leave me behind like garbage? No. I was going to make sure she regretted this. I spent the next day preparing. I wasn't reckless, I wasn't about to go running off to Tokyo without a plan. I needed leverage. And I needed help. So I called Ethan. Ethan and I had been friends since college. He worked in cybersecurity, one of those guys who could find anything if you gave him enough time. When he picked up, I skipped the small talk. I need you to find someone for me. A pause. Okay, who? I sent him Damien's profile. This guy. I need to know everything, where he lives, what he does, if he has any skeletons in his closet. Ethan let out a low whistle. Dude, this guy is loaded. What's your connection to him? I hesitated. He stole my wife. Silence. Then. Give me 24 hours. That night, I started planning. Natalie thought she had one. She thought she had slipped away without consequences. But she had made one mistake. She didn't cover her tracks well enough. And now, I was coming for her. Ethan didn't need 24 hours. He called me back in 12. You're not gonna like this, he said. I already don't, I replied. Just tell me. He sighed. Damien Laurent is exactly who he appears to be, a rich, arrogant club owner. But there's more. His businesses aren't just clubs. What do you mean? There are rumors about him, Ethan said carefully. Money laundering, illegal gambling rings, even human trafficking. Nothing proven, but people who cross him. They tend to disappear. My grip tightened on the phone. And Natalie? Ethan hesitated. I checked her recent flight records. She landed in Tokyo 3 days ago, but she didn't book a return flight. So she's still there. Yeah. And I found something else. I braced myself. She's not just with him. She's working for him. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. What? She's listed as a manager for one of his clubs. The Mirage. High-end, exclusive, invitation only. She's been there every night since she landed. I swallowed hard. So, she's not just with him. She's a part of his world now. Looks like it. I closed my eyes, forcing myself to stay calm. I had expected her to leave me, but to throw herself into the arms of some shady criminal. To work for him. That was something else entirely. Ethan's voice softened. Look, man. I know you're angry. But you need to be smart about this. If Damien is as dangerous as he seems, confronting him head-on is suicide. I exhaled slowly. I'm not going after him. Then what's the plan? I opened my laptop, staring at Damien's profile. At Natalie's picture beside him. She ran to Tokyo thinking she could erase me from her life, I said. I'm going to make sure she remembers exactly who I am. Natalie had stolen $25,000 from me before leaving. But she had been sloppy, she had transferred the money into one of our joint accounts before withdrawing it. Which meant I still had access. Ethan guided me through it. She cleared out the checking account, but she left the savings untouched, he said. That was a mistake. I logged in, my fingers flying over the keyboard. In a few clicks, I emptied the savings account, transferring everything to a private one under my name. $32,500. Gone. I stared at the screen, my pulse steady. Let's see how she liked being the one left with nothing. Natalie had built a perfect online persona. Loving wife, successful professional, world traveler. But now? Now she was just another woman who had abandoned her marriage for a criminal. I made sure the world knew it. With Ethan's help, I leaked the Tokyo photos. The cozy dinner dates. The video of her laughing in bed with Damien. Then, I crafted the perfect message. To everyone who knows Natalie, she didn't just leave me. She stole from me, humiliated me, and ran off with a man who launders money for criminals. If you're wondering why she disappeared, now you know. I posted it everywhere, her Facebook, her LinkedIn, even her old workplace's group chat. Within minutes, the messages flooded in. WTF, Natalie? You left your husband for some criminal. Wow. Just wow. I thought you were better than this. She had blocked me, but it didn't matter. Everyone saw it. And everyone talked. Natalie wanted a new life. Fine. But I had just burned her old one to the ground. Now, it was time to make it personal. I dialed Ethan. "Can you get me access to her phone?" I asked. There was a pause. Then, a slow chuckle. "Oh, you're really going for it. I want her to know I'm watching." It took 2 hours. Then Ethan sent me a message. "Done. You can see everything." I opened the tracking app. Natalie's phone was online. She was at the Mirage. I smirked. Then, I sent her a text. "Me, did you really think you could just disappear?" 3 dots appeared. She was typing. Then she stopped. Then she typed again. "Natalie, what the hell? How are you texting me?" "Me, I know everything. I saw the video. I saw the money. I saw the flights. You thought you were in control. You're not." "I am." Another long pause. Then. "Natalie, just leave me alone." I laughed. "Me, oh, sweetheart, this is just the beginning." She wanted a new life. But I wasn't done with her yet. Not even close. After I sent the text, Natalie went silent. No reply. No typing bubbles. I imagined her sitting there in the Mirage, phone clenched in her trembling hands, heart racing as she realized I wasn't going to just disappear like she had hoped. Good. I wanted her to feel that pit in her stomach. The one I had felt when I came home and found her note. But I wasn't done yet. I opened the tracking app again. She was still at the club. I watched as her dot moved, back and forth, like she was pacing. Then, suddenly, it disappeared. She had turned off her phone. I smirked. She was panicking. The next morning, Ethan called me. "Dude, she's losing it." I leaned back in my chair. "Tell me." "She's been trying to wipe her online presence. She deleted her old social media accounts, tried to erase her work history. Even blocked a bunch of people." I chuckled. "And Damien?" Ethan hesitated. "That's where things get interesting. He doesn't seem to care. In fact, I think he likes it." I frowned. "Likes what?" "He's used to drama. He feeds off of it. You exposing her. It probably just amuses him." That made sense. Damien wasn't just some rich businessman. He was a predator. A guy who saw people as toys to be used and discarded. And now, Natalie was just another one of his playthings. I checked my messages. Still no response from her. I wasn't surprised. She was probably trying to figure out what to do next. But I had already made that decision for her. I wasn't just going to scare her. I wanted to strip away everything she thought she had gained. And I knew exactly where to start. Her job. Ethan had already found out she was working for Damien at the Mirage. It wasn't some legit management position, it was just a way for him to keep her close while he paraded her around his world. So I made a few anonymous calls. Tokyo authorities. Immigration services. Even some financial fraud tip lines. I dropped one key piece of information in each call. Natalie Carter was working under the table in Tokyo. No work visa. No legal employment status. And that was enough to get her deported. 2 days later, Ethan sent me a message. "Bro, check this out." Attached was a news article. Tokyo nightclub raided for employment violations. I clicked the link, my heart racing. Authorities shut down the Mirage last night due to multiple labor violations. Several undocumented workers were detained, and others are being investigated for illegal employment. The club's owner, Damien Laurent, has refused to comment. I grinned. Then I checked Natalie's location again. Her phone was back online. And she wasn't at the Mirage anymore. She was at a hotel. That night, my phone rang. It was her. I let it ring. Once. Twice. Then I answered. Her voice was shaky. "Why are you doing this?" I leaned back, keeping my voice calm. "You know why." She exhaled sharply. "You don't understand. Damien, he's dangerous. If he thinks I've brought trouble to him, he'll—" "Oh," I cut her off, "you mean like how you screwed me over without a second thought?" Silence. I continued. "You thought you could just disappear, live some fantasy life with your new rich boyfriend, and never face the consequences." "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," she whispered. I laughed coldly. "Didn't mean for what to happen? To lie? To cheat? To steal my money?" Her breathing was uneven. I made a mistake." I leaned forward. "Yeah. And now you get to live with it." Another pause. Then, her voice broke. "What do you want?" I stared at the wall, thinking. Then I smiled. "Oh, Natalie. I don't want anything." I let the silence stretch. Let her wait. Let her squirm. Then I said, "I just want you to know this isn't over." And I hung up. The next morning, I checked Natalie's location again. Still at the hotel. She wasn't running anymore, because she couldn't. She was trapped. I pictured her in that hotel room, pacing back and forth, her mind racing as she tried to figure out what to do next. Her perfect little escape had crumbled. Her rich boyfriend. He wouldn't stick his neck out for her. The Mirage. Shut down. Her money. Gone. I had taken everything from her. And yet, I wasn't satisfied. Not yet. That afternoon, I got an unexpected message. A text from an unknown number. "Unknown, I don't know who you think you are, but you're playing a dangerous game." I stared at the message, my pulse steady. "Damien." I smirked and replied. "Me, oh, I know exactly who I am. The real question is, do you know who you're dealing with?" 3 dots appeared. He was typing. Then he stopped. I waited. Minutes passed. Nothing. He didn't respond. Because he wasn't used to this. He was used to being the predator, the one calling the shots. But now. Now he was dealing with me. That night, Natalie called again. This time, I answered right away. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Please. Stop this." I stayed silent. She exhaled shakily. "I get it, okay. I deserved this. I hurt you. I was selfish. But if you keep pushing, Damien, he'll—" I cut her off. "He'll what?" "Leave you." Silence. I chuckled. "Natalie, he already has." I heard her breath hitch. "You think a guy like Damien sticks around when things go bad? He's not your protector. You were just a distraction to him." I let that sink in. Then I delivered the final blow. "Oh, and by the way, you might want to start packing." "What?" she whispered. I smiled. "Tokyo immigration is looking for you." A long pause. Then. "No. No, no, no. You didn't." "Oh, I did." I leaned back, picturing her sitting on that hotel bed, realizing she had nowhere left to go. "You stole from me. You lied. You betrayed me." My voice was calm. Steady. "You don't get a happy ending, Natalie." A choked sob. What do you want from me?" I inhaled deeply. Then I said the words I had been waiting to say since the moment I found that note on my kitchen table. I just want you to remember, you did this to yourself. And I hung up. 2 days later, Natalie was deported. No job. No money. No rich boyfriend to protect her. She landed back in the US with nothing. And me? I went on with my life. She had thought she could erase me. Instead, I had erased her. Weeks later, I got one last text from an unknown number. It was Natalie. Natalie, I lost everything. Are you happy now? I stared at the message for a long time. Then, finally, I replied. Me, I was never happy with you to begin with. And with that, I blocked her number. For good. Weeks passed after Natalie was deported. At first, I felt satisfaction, a sense of justice. She had played me, betrayed me, humiliated me. And now, she had nothing. But something strange happened. She disappeared. No social media. No contact with mutual friends. No sign of her anywhere. It was like she had been erased from existence. At first, I didn't care. Let her rot. Let her suffer. But then, Ethan called. You're not gonna believe this, he said. Try me. She's off the grid. Like, completely. No bank activity, no phone usage, nothing. I frowned. And? Ethan hesitated. Anne. Damien's gone too. A cold chill ran through me. What do you mean, gone? I mean no one has seen him since the Mirage got shut down. I clenched my jaw. Damien was a snake, a man who knew how to slither away when things got too hot. But Natalie? She wasn't like him. She wasn't a criminal. She was just stupid. So where the hell did she go? 2 months later, I got my answer. It was a rainy Sunday when I heard a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, my breath caught in my throat. Natalie. She stood there, soaking wet, broken. Her once perfect hair was a mess. Her designer clothes replaced with cheap, wrinkled fabric. She had dark circles under her eyes, her cheeks hollow. She looked nothing like the woman who had abandoned me. Please, she whispered. Let me in. I didn't move. I just stared at her, waiting. Her lips trembled. I have nowhere else to go. I folded my arms. Not my problem. Tears welled in her eyes. Damien, he. She swallowed hard. He sold me. The words hit me like a truck. My heart pounded in my chest. What? She shook her head, voice shaking. After the Mirage shut down, he said I was bad business. That I brought trouble. So he sold me off to one of his associates. I barely escaped. For the first time since this all started, I felt something other than rage. I felt a flicker of pity. But I shoved it down. This was the life she chose. She betrayed me for him. She ran off like I was nothing. She didn't get to come crawling back now. I leaned against the doorframe, eyes cold. So what do you want? She exhaled shakily. A second chance. I let out a sharp laugh. You burned that bridge the second you wrote that note, Natalie. She wiped at her tears. I was stupid. I was selfish. But I swear, I never loved him. I just wanted. She stopped herself. I narrowed my eyes. You just wanted what? Her lip trembled. I just wanted to feel alive. I stared at her. And how does it feel now? She looked down. Like I'm already dead. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then, finally, I sighed. And I stepped aside. Come in. Natalie sat across from me, clutching a cup of tea like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I studied her carefully. This was my final test. She thought she could manipulate me again. Maybe she even thought I still loved her, that I'd take her back. She was wrong. But I wanted to see just how far she'd go. So, I said, "Why should I help you?" She looked up at me, desperation in her eyes. "Because I have nothing. Because I made a mistake." I nodded slowly. "You did." She swallowed. "I can change." I smirked. "I don't want you to change." She blinked in confusion. "Then, what do you want?" I leaned forward. "I want you to feel exactly what I felt." Her breath hitched. "What does that mean?" I tilted my head. "You left me with nothing, so now, I leave you with nothing." I stood up, walking to the door. I pulled it open, letting the cold night air rush in. "Get out." Her eyes widened. "Wait." I pointed to the door. "You wanted freedom. You wanted to live without consequences. Go do it." Tears streamed down her face. "Where am I supposed to go?" I gave her a cold smile. "Not my problem." Her shoulders shook. She knew there was no escape this time. Damien had used her up and tossed her aside. And now, so was I. She walked to the door, pausing just before stepping out. "Do you really hate me that much?" she whispered. I met her gaze. "No," I said. And then I slammed the door in her face. I never saw Natalie again. She disappeared into the night, just like she had tried to disappear from my life months ago. Only this time, it was my choice. I wasn't the broken man she had left behind. I wasn't the fool who begged for answers. I was free. And as I sat in my warm home, sipping my coffee, I realized something. I had won. And I had never felt more alive.